Hello. Hello. Hello.
So smooth.
Hello.
I love how dramatic it is.
I know, it's very dramatic, and then suddenly it stops. It's like, there's no fade. Hello, my name is Tara, and welcome to everyone who's watching. I am here with Beth the Bard for a little one-on-one chat where we're going to talk about some D&D. So, Beth is our hardcore mode dungeon master for D&D in a Castle USA, happening this August 11th to 15th at our Mohican Castle venue. And so she is running a mod which she wrote and developed, which is called She is the Ancient. And she's going to be running that as an intensive D&D campaign over 4 days at D&D in a Castle. With at least 36 hours of game time, though I think Beth is renowned for going well over the minimum game time.
I pretty much do that regularly.
Beth is also coming to the next round of D&D in a Castle following that, August 18th to 22nd. So there's only one spot left in the hardcore mode campaign of She is the Ancient, but she has just had tickets open up for August 18th to 22nd. So there is space to still come and play with her as your DM at D&D in a Castle. So Beth, welcome. To start with, I would like to know, what is this She is the Ancient campaign that you were planning for hardcore mode? Tell us a little bit about where that came from, what made you want to write this, and what is it?
So I'm super excited about this. She is the Ancient it's just called like the Gender Bent Curse of Strahd, but it's much more than just that, because I mean anybody could have just swapped things and then run Curse of Strahd and it's just Curse of Strahd, right? Where it came from originally was when I first got into D&D. What really pulled me in was knowing that there was like a Dracula game. And I'm a lifelong, emo girl loving vampires and stuff. And I went to run it and was like, oh, wow, there's like very few women in here. And I initially ran it completely gender bent as a joke with like my family, where I literally just swapped everything. And everyone noted how ridiculous it was being swapped. They're like, oh, that like these characters don't make, like, they're hilarious now. And it's like, isn't that funny how they're hilarious when it's men acting that way, or things like that, right? So it got me thinking about all the changes that could be made to bring in reduce some of like the sexism, the ableism, things like that. And so it mostly involved, there was a lot of gender bending, but it was more to create an even spread of character types, NPCs and such. And the a lot of the societal roles are more so changed. There's some backstory changes, things like that. And that's still if you just want to run it as regular Curse of Strahd, but like less problematic. What I'm doing for the castle game for hardcore mode, it's like essence of She is the Ancient. It's essentially like it's going to be the more female-led version of everything. However, it's not going to be Curse of Strahd, because what I'm having my players do is I'm real nerdy because I love Domains of Dread so much. I love Ravenloft so much. And so I'm going to be working with the players. Everyone is going to create a Dark Lord of their own Domain of Dread. So if you want to be from one of the established ones like Tempest or Lamortia or any of those, you can do that. And then we just dig in and really create your Dark Lord persona. Or you could even create one. Like I'm going to be bringing in from the side angle, I'm going to be bringing in my Lamortia lookalike, which is Promethea. It's basically the same thing, but not exactly the same. Anyways, that was a total ramble. Everyone's going to be a Dark Lord from their own domain. And their backstory is they were defeated. They were brought down. And now their power has been stripped. And they are trapped in Barovia. Because Barovia it was the beginning of Ravenloft. It was the it was the reason it all happened, and potentially the reason it can all end, entirely up to how the player characters interact with the situation. But they have to take down the final Dark Lord as like Dark Lords themselves that have been knocked down and have to like rebuild their power back up. And so it's going to go from like tier 2 all the way up to tier 4. We're going to be doing some high level, and I don't want to give away too much because like there's some twist toward the end, and also everything entirely depends on what the players do because that's my style of GMing anyways. But it's like, are you going to lean into being a Dark Lord? Are you going to like try to change what's happening? Are you like, yeah, but there's definitely bigger BBEGs at hand, and that's all I feel like I can say without spoiling.
Awesome. That sounds super fun. Really, that sounds very appealing to someone like me who would want to be my own Dark Lord.
Right?
My own domain, my own dominion. Lovely.
Yes.
So you've been at the castle a couple of times before, several times before. You've run campaigns at the castle, 3 or 4 or something like that.
I've been there 3 times, run 4 rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what that experience is like, running a campaign across 4 days. Now, normally you run a campaign that lasts 24 hours over the course of the 4 days. And what drew you to wanting to run a hardcore mode? Because hardcore mode, DMs express their interest and sort of put forward a pitch, and then we sort of evaluate and choose the campaigns we think are a good fit. So what made you want to put your name in the hat as a hardcore mode DM? What about hardcore mode excited you?
Well, I realized I was already borderline running hardcore mode the last few rounds at the castle because you can like crunch a campaign into 24 hours and it's totally doable, but also I like to really follow my players and dig into what they're very interested in. So we always end up going over, and I finally got it down to a science of like, you know, on day 2, we go this many hours over so that we don't go to 4 in the morning on day 3 and things like that. And so I was like, oh my gosh, hardcore mode will just kind of give that space and really, it's like extra encouraging of that extra time, and the people coming in are more prepared for extra D&D. So that was immediately appealing. And then I don't know, I just felt like doing a really intense variation of She's the Ancient at high level lended so well to hardcore mode. Yes, it could be done in regular, but like I'm like, nah, you're gonna be Dark Lord. We're going hard. So yeah, that was pretty much the whole thought process.
Awesome. So you're doing hardcore mode for 1 round, August 11 to 15, and then you're sticking around because hardcore mode, 5 out of the 6 tickets are sold. So, you know, there's not a lot of space left to join you in hardcore mode. There is one. If this sounds like your cup of tea, you can come and play this hardcore. It says my connection is lost. I'm hoping that it's coming back.
I can still hear you.
Forgive me if I
just
get
a little glitchy.
An internet glitch. Okay, good. So there's 1 spot left at hardcore mode, which is August 11 to 15. And then in the same location, right afterwards, the following week, August 18 to 22nd, you're going to be doing a standard campaign at D&D in a Castle, a 4-day adventure for 24 plus hours. So it's 24 plus because everybody goes. It's not hardcore mode, but it'll probably be getting a little close to the minimum of hardcore mode because of the way that I know you play that.
Players
games. I'm familiar. I did at those castles that you've been at as well. So do you have a plan for that campaign? And what do you know about that campaign? I know they get developed over time, and we'll hear more as it grows and as the players start to contribute. So what are you thinking?
So tentatively, I want to go with the theme of like the Ravenloft style, and I'm finishing up a book that I kickstarted last year, and since it's going to be real, like, freshly released in the next couple of months and stuff like that, I was like, well, my brain's already really in that space anyways. So I tentatively am 98% sure that I've settled on this exactly, that for that round 2, I'm going to run basically the Daughter of Frankenstein. It's a Promethea adventure, very, very inspired by Lemordia. So it's its own domain of dread, and we've had various iterations. So I've actually run Lemordia / Promethea at the castle before, but it looked so drastically different than what the final outcome on the story has become as we move towards publication. And the new iteration is so fun. I'm like, yeah, I feel like going from, you know, the uber-walled Barovia kind of thing and then moving into the Victorian kind of more cityscape and the hinterlands and stuff of Promethea would be a really good natural kind of switch over for me mentally. I mean, if anybody was staying for both rounds, that would be like, wow, like, whoo. But initially you start off as your D&D adventurer, obviously. You are a member of the Caligari Inquisition headed into Promethea to kind of dig into some of these like mysteries that are happening, what all these like supernatural occurrences that are popping up. And your first mission is to try and understand what happened surrounding the death of Victoria Frankenstein, Daughter of Frankenstein, which is completely different than how I've run it before. And I'm so excited about like the new BBEG variation that we've pushed into this. And like, so it'll be like the first full not private playtest run through of that I'll be doing. So it'll be like really special.
So brand new and exciting. And the book is the book out yet?
It is so close. It is so close to being out. So it'll be out before August.
Awesome. So if anybody missed that, or even if they back that and they get to play it with the creator, that's going to be a real special experience for the players. Amazing. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your style as a DM, your philosophy on D&D and on gaming and on running games, in terms of a few different things. So first of all, you have a delightful Instagram post at It's Beth the Bard, if you want to find her, those watching, at It's Beth the Bard on Instagram. And you've asked, what's your GM style? I'll go first. So I'm going to read you a couple of slides that you've got. We'll go one at a time. And if you can tell me what you mean by that, elaborate a little bit on what.
I'm like, should I pull up the post? No, I'll just listen. We'll just wing it.
So you say, I am an affectionate dungeon master, specializing in therapeutic gaming for transformative emotional experiences. So what does that mean, Beth?
So some of these keywords I have got from previous players at my table. I was like, okay, so that's like, how would you describe it? They're like, well, this was like a transformative emotional, like both like beautiful and traumatic, but beautiful. And so yeah, I'm like, I'm owning it. We do the super emotional stuff. I'm affectionate because like, I really do see myself as an affectionate dungeon master, because while yes, there has to be a certain level of like, all right, I'm gonna, kick your butt and whatever at the table. There's also, because I come at it from a therapeutic angle, there's a lot of emphasis on emotional care, mental care at the table, things like that. I'm the GM where if we're in the middle of combat and I'm like, yeah, let's go, but then I see a player's really struggling with like, I'm having anxiety about like what to do this turn. This is really high stakes. This is really tense. It's like, okay, so let's see what you've got. Like, we're gonna go through your options. I'm gonna help you work through this. So I like put on that like pause. It's like, okay, we got this. I'm on your team. And then also now I'm gonna beat you up. But so I feel like that ends up coming out to a very for lack of better terms, I think it comes from me being like a mom of four and also previously a classroom teacher. I've worked with like my specialty last several years has been working with autistic teenagers and running games with them and stuff like that. There's just a lot of hands-on emotional care that comes into this, especially when you're digging into very emotional experiences. I don't know if that I explained that properly.
You also say my sessions are player focused, promote inclusivity, and harness the collective storytelling power of the group. My question, so this player focused is a kind of term that comes up a lot, and I know there are different philosophies on what that means. And so what do you, when you talk about being player focused, what does that mean to you as a DM?
So player focus really starts before the game. Trying to get everybody connected with each other, everybody comfortable with each other. And we do like questionnaires about like what it is you love about D&D, what is it you're not so into about D&D, what would you love to see, what bothers you at the table. Like I always did like 5 different types of questionnaires. I'm like, okay, let's cover what you love as a player, and then let's really dig into your character and their backstory and like what are their passions, what do they wear out on the weekends, like just all of these things to really dig into the player experience on a much more personalized level. So I always come into a session with a baseline story. Like you gotta have your what are they, plot points? I can't remember the points you want to hit throughout a story, but it is 100% based on what the players want and what characters they've built. So the story will drastically change based on the backstories that I'm given before the game, and like what happens during the game. If things pop up that end up feeling like, okay, this is really heavily being emphasized, then we're going to dig into that more in the next session. So my partner always makes fun of me because between sessions, he'll be like, okay, the session's done, prepping for next session, I'll take a nap or something. I'm like, I gotta go write a bunch of stuff because they did this, and this. I can't ever exactly determine what like the final battle is going to look like until right before then, because it's like, well, they could go this way, they could go this way, they could go this way, and depending on these things. So I really, on an extreme level, follow my players and the actions that they make.
Cool. Now your next comment about your DM style is I strive to elevate the game's visual and tactile immersion with peripherals, including artwork, props, music, and scenic ambience. So I think that you must be very well suited to D&D in a castle, because it starts with a castle. So you're,
right?
You're most of the way there. But I do know you also bring other things. And one of the coolest things that I know you do, Beth, is that you're an artist, you're a visual artist, and that you make art of everyone's characters. So everyone who comes to your table gets a personalized work of art, original art of their character from their campaign. That's just so precious and valuable. It's such a gift to your players. Why do you do that?
So first, a little selfishly, it helps me connect with their player characters. If I have to sit and really like sketch out what they look like, try and fit in their personality into, it's like, are we quirky? Are we shy? Are we stoic? Things like, so I'm digging into their characters, helps me connect and really get that visual in my own head. And then I love surprising my players with it when they show up for session 0. They're all framed on the table next to their name cards and stuff. And it's so exciting. And then it's really great in game, because when the players are all like looking at each other, role playing their characters with one another, they're able to not just like look at the other player, but they see like the artwork of this character and they can really get into the visualization. They might remember like the thing that they really like to wear. I feel like it helps with that mental visualization for role play a lot, which is also why I love bringing in like, I don't know, like my Neverland campaign. There were plants everywhere, real Feywild stuff, decor on the table, anything I can to pull them into the scenes visually, so that rather than spending extra effort in the theater of the mind trying to visualize what everything looks like, they can spend more time in the emotional side of things and just feeling it out.
Cool. And it says the table is a safe and welcoming space, encouraging the rule of cool. Players feel free to experiment and try new ways of interacting with the game. So I know, I've heard that you will let players do things they can't really do if they're willing to sacrifice something to get that. So,
Yes.
yeah, definitely heard, like, if you're a hardcore rules lawyer and they're like, no, you can't do that, maybe you want a less flexible DM. I've also been told, there's an interview, you know, if you like numbers and not fun, then play with Beth. So, you know, it sounds like you're interested in making the experience awesome for the players, and that perhaps ties into what you mean by player centric as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny too, because I've had rules lawyers at my table before too, and you can see at first there's like this jar, but then they realize, because we still keep things very balanced. I definitely use the rule set as the baseline, and then the changes that are made are often based on reskinning, or, as I like to say, like, for example, you know, a spell requires 300 gold pieces worth of diamonds to do something, right? The purpose of that is to ensure that it's difficult to do. You can't just keep doing that thing. You got to suffer a little bit for it. So that's kind of how I go into my rule of cool stuff, especially with abilities and trying things. If it makes sense in the scene, it makes sense to the story, it makes sense that the character could or would be doing something like that. It's like, okay, we just gotta do a little bit of energy exchange to keep it balanced. You give me like a 3rd level spell slot, and then you tell us what that looks like. And everyone's super. There was a game, not like three rounds ago, where I just had people like, take my 4th level spell slot, take this, take all my equipment, like, just let me do this like one thing to save this person. I'm like, you guys just keep dumping it on me, I'm gonna take it all. So it was really intense.
Cool. So would you say you're heavy on the role play side, exploration, combat? What's your jam? Where do you shine?
Oh, I really, really dig into exploration, which involves a lot of role play, and the combat involves a lot of role play. So I guess role play is more of the central focus of everything, but I really love exploration, especially because there's a lot of that involved in mysteries and mystery games, mystery stories. Oh, that's my stuff.
Yeah, do you work a lot of mystery into your games?
When the players start figuring things out, and they'll be like, I think this is the, like, watching that, like, you know, like the meme with all of the math and like I got like, aliens, whatever. Watching them piece together all of the clues that they didn't even realize they'd been being fed over several days. It's so good. It's like, it can fuel me. So good. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to get into. That's what I wanted to ask. I've asked all my questions. Is there anything else you want to tell people about gaming at your table, about D&D in a castle, about your experiences? Oh, I wanted to ask you, here's perhaps one question. You've kind of answered it already, but in summary, what is a great game of D&D for you? What makes game of D&D great?
The players. Like, for real, you could have everything you need. You could have everything planned, but like if the players aren't willing and excited to jump in with both feet and be comfortable with each other, and if they don't feel like safe with me in like the role play and things like that, it can change how the game feels entirely. So I truly believe that players make a game great.
And how do you manage that in a situation where you have no control over who the players are? Because
get them comfy with each other ahead of time. The amount of like calls that I've done with my groups before we ever get to the castle or anything, like I want them all talking to each other, strategizing how their characters have known each other for several years, like who's connected to who, and just in general get them talking to each other. They're going to come to the table already more at ease. It's not going to take that whole, I mean, the first session is always a little like, okay, we're warming up. But then by session 2, everyone is fully in and ready to go. I think that it takes a lot of just trying to connect everyone and get them comfortable with each other immediately.
And that's worked at D&D in a Castle? Has that been your experience that you've been
Oh yeah. And then I have them chatting throughout. Like we start our, we always have like a little WhatsApp group chat kind of thing. So then between sessions and during sessions, we're sending each other memes and GIFs and whatever. Yeah, just try to keep that cohesion, keep them becoming BFFs.
That's awesome. I think some of your players still stay in touch, and
yes,
there's evidence that.
Oh yeah, we're still messaging each other like every day.
That's amazing. There was one comment in the feed saying there must be a place to eat a lot of cake, and I would just like to take a moment to say there is so much cake. So much cake. There is no shortage. All the cake you could ever want, you can pretty much have at D&D. There is always excessive cake. There's lots of other things also, but if you're looking for like a vacation where you can play D&D and cake, it should be called D&D and cake in a castle. Cake and vegan cake. We have all the cake, every kind of cake. So
I love every evening at like it's like 9 o'clock in the evening, dessert is served, and we'll be in the middle of role play and somebody will pop in like dessert time, and we're like, pause, cake
time. Come for the D&D, stay for the cake. So much. Oh man. Okay, well, it's been great chatting with you, Beth. Anything you want to add? Oh yeah, where can people find you? At It's Beth the Bard on all the socials, and where else can they find you and your projects? And She is the Ancient and Daughter of Frankenstein. Where can they find your stuff?
So I post everything on my website, beththebard.com. I update it pretty regularly, I think. Like I try to. She's the Ancient. You can just go she'stheancient.com. It'll take you straight to DM's Guild. It's available in a hardcover. I have a copy of it right over there. And then Daughter of Frankenstein actually currently isn't available for sale because I've paused all like pre-sales until I get the digital content out to our backers super soon. So that will be available within the next couple of months, and I'll announce that on the site and on my socials and stuff like that. D&D in a Castle events, pretty much anything I'm doing, going to Gen Con, stuff like that, it's all going to be on beththebard.com.
Wicked. And you can also find more about opportunities to game with Beth the Bard at D&D in a Castle and at Gen Con as well at dndinacastle.com. There's also a handy little thing in the corner that lets you scan and open up our website. There's a listing for hardcore mode generally, if that interests you. There's a listing for Beth the Bard, if that interests you. And there's listings for both of the August rounds that Beth is going to be at, as well as a bunch of other amazing dungeon masters. And we'll be meeting with DMs like this hopefully every week going forward, so people get a chance to meet the cool people that run games at D&D in a Castle. and hear about the games and about what they're like as a DM, and see if you think you might want to come and game with us and with them as your dungeon master. So thanks for joining us, Beth. Thanks for telling us all about your games.
Thanks for having me.
Find Beth online, follow her, buy all her stuff, do all the things, because she's really great, and everybody raves about her when they come and play it at her games. Lots of love for Beth. And that's it. Okay, so send us any questions that you have in the chat. This video will be posted on YouTube and Facebook, and it's also going out through Twitch. So you can find us there, and contact@dndinacastle.com if you have any questions. Also, if you go to dndinacastle.com on the website, there is a chat, and it is monitored by real life people. So if you want to chat to people at D&D in a Castle, you can chat with us there, or email us, or find us any of the places.
Real life people.
dndinacastle.com. I know, when people are now so rare and valuable. But yeah, it's talking. Real people have actually been to the castle and are part of our organization. We're very small, and we all chip in, and so you'll be talking to one of us.
They're all amazing, you guys. They're all amazing.
Love you so much. Okay, have a great day, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye.